Hello, welcome to this regularly scheduled April 7th City Council meeting. There are agendas on my right over there when you walk in, if you'd like to grab one of those and follow along. Katie, could I have roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Bentley. Here. Bruns.
Here.
Flynn.
Here.
Morrissey. Here. Soha. Stuchel. Here. Wolfram. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Here.
7 present.
Thank you, Katie. Okay, let's move on to the approval of the agenda. I think we have a few items to add here. We got a letter about our Tree City USA debt designation. Probably don't need to add that. I can just state that at council comment. Anything, Mr. Mackey?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, we do have to add to communication, probably letter F, resignation of city engineer, Kristen Bauer.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Support.
Thank you. Motion from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Flynn to add under communications petitions, letter F, a resignation letter from the city engineer. Anything else for the agenda? Any additions? Any changes?
I move we accept the amended agenda.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Flynn, seconded by Councilman Morrissey to accept the amended agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. We have an agenda. We will move on to public comments on agenda items. You may comment for up to 3 minutes. Please limit your comments to items that are on the agenda for tonight. The podium is open.
Scott Sessions, 102 Cold Springs Circle. According to the email dated March. Okay. Yep.
Sorry about that. Huh. Who would help us? Brandon? Brandon is not here. I guess I can just look at this, or could someone? Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Sessions. Thank you for your patience.
Okay. Yep. According to the email dated March 11, 2025 by Joshua Palladino, it suggested that the SAD or the Special Assessment District policy be changed with new revenue of approximately $116,000, giving residents some relief. I want the same relief as you are about to give residents with the change in the SAD policy. It would be a matter of discrimination by this City Council if the relief that is being proposed is not being given to the rest of the residents that have already been paying the SAD special assessments. Now on March 17, 2025, 1 hour and 41 minutes into the meeting, Mayor Pro Tem Palladino is suggesting that the residents who live on a cul-de-sac paid $5,200 instead of $5,000 for the special assessment, an increase of $200 more for residents who live in a cul-de-sac. Again, this is a matter of discrimination against residents who live in a cul-de-sac in the city of Hillsdale. Mayor Pro Tem Palladino wants other residents to pay more for special assessments, but he wants to lower special assessments for residents on Berry Street, giving them special treatment to residents in the Mayor Pro Tem Palladino's ward. This is totally unfair to the residents of the city of Hillsdale that are already paying special assessments. The City Council needs to make this fair for all residents of Hillsdale that are paying special assessments by not lowering the special assessment for Berry Street or any other street in Hillsdale. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Sessions.
Hello, my name is Alan Pitts, 2394 Astorwet Beach Drive. Been a local businessman here for 30 years. Love Hillsdale. Just gonna say I think it's a great town, great place to raise a family. It did, and it's awesome. But I was here a month ago, probably one of my first board meetings I ever went to. Man, there's some dysfunction on the board. I just can't understand a little bit is you guys are supposed to get us together, listen to smart men like Mackie and his crew of how to fix our roads. Because we all know our roads are bad. And I would like to see the roads fixed. I'd like to see where we didn't have to pay extra, the homeowners didn't pay extra, but it happens. And I would just like to see you guys come together and figure out how we can do that without undermining Mackie, Mr. Mayor. And then one more comment too is, I don't know why you have beef against the airport. Like, I know it's rhetorical, you don't have to answer the question. Is that in society, successful towns have oceans, rivers, and then they have railways, and they have airports. We have 2 of the 4, or we could be North Adams. So why can't we embrace what we have and appreciate what we have? That's all I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I will close the podium. We will move on to the consent agenda. We have approval of bills, city and BPU claims of March 13th, payroll of March 27th, city council minutes of March 17th, finance minutes of March 17th, 2025 March Board of Review minutes, 2025 assessors report, Hillsdale College Taste of Manning use agreement, and MERS signatories resolution. Kim, is Kim here? You want to say anything about the assessors report? Only if you want to, no pressure.
Sure, so I did want to point out, I've had several questions over the years about the percentage of the properties in the city of Hillsdale that are tax exempt. So I directly answered that question in this year's report. I did a deep dive into the actual value of the properties owned by tax exempt entities and tried to come up with an estimate of what the value was on those. What I determined was that approximately 1/3 of our total value is exempt from property taxes. Of that, a little over 50% is owned by the college, which is no surprise to anybody just looking at the types of buildings that they have and the value of those buildings, and that their buildings are newer than everybody else's, or some of them. So, and then the remainder of the report is, there's reports that I prepare every year for the state at the close of the Board of Review, just recapping what our changes in value were for the year and how we equalize values according to the property classes. So if you have any questions about anything in the report, I'd be happy to address those.
Thank you, yeah, I enjoyed reading that. Do you have any idea how this compares to other cities?
I did not compare to what other people have at this point.
Okay, and what's the total value of that third of
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
I apologize. I didn't put actual numbers. I just put percentages just to keep it simple.
Yeah, okay. No, that makes sense. Pretty easy to go and check based on the total value of taxable.
Yeah, and I do have a spreadsheet that has the values in it. I just didn't put that information in the report.
Thank you very much. Councilman Bentley, did you have your hand up? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again for this spreadsheet too. Can you characterize the percentages? Half of the third is the college and the others churches, or what else?
The city, the county, the hospital, churches, and then various nonprofits.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, anything else on the consent agenda that anyone would like to comment on or ask a question about? Okay, very good. Do I have a motion? Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Flynn to approve the consent agenda as presented. Katie, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Councilmember Bruns,
Yes.
Flynn,
Yes.
Morrissey, Stuchel, Wolfram, Mayor Pro Tem Palladino,
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley.
Yes.
7-0 approved.
Thank you, Katie. Let's move on to communications and petitions. Letter A, we have the 2024 water quality report. Very good. We can report that all of the tests are passed Excellent. Mr. Mackey, anything to add on this?
No, I think that's the key takeaway for that.
Great, thank you. Okay. Council, anything on the water quality report? Very good. We'll move on to letter B, e-waste collection event. You can go to the Hillsdale County Fairgrounds, April 28th at 8 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. You can return small electronics, appliances, cables, no large appliances, ovens, fridges, etc. April 25th, 8 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. at the Hillsdale County Fairgrounds. Mr. Mackey, anything to add on this one?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, anything on this? Yes, Councilman Flynn.
I just wanted to say, years ago, I was a part of something like this. A local business actually did this, and this is a perfect way to get rid of old cell phones, laptops, gaming devices, all that stuff that is sitting in your closet, and all those cables that you have no idea what they go to anymore. Instead of filling the landfill and all the other things, and I have checked time and time and time again when they say, well, somebody might pull it out of the pile and steal all my personal information. That doesn't happen. They wipe them all and they do it all. So this is an excellent thing, and I hope everybody takes advantage.
Great, thank you, Councilman Flynn. Yes, we all have that drawer of cables. Don't know what they belong to. Okay, anything else on that? We'll move on to letter C. We have a letter from St. Anthony's here. I think I saw Father Reemschneider, if you want to add anything here. There's an offer. Is that Mr. Coonrod too? Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Yes, so St. Anthony's has put in an offer for 23 North Broad Street, the vacant property to the north of St. Anthony's, for $40,000. They very kindly included not only a fair market value for this property, but their estimate of 20 years of taxation, liberally calculated on this lot. Anything to add on this? If you'd like. Maybe plans for it.
Looks like our mic's on. My name's Chris Finch. I'm on the parish council at St. Anthony. So currently, I believe we're the ones that use the property the most. We use it at Easter time every year, whereas we're getting ready to do that. Currently, there are some repairs that need to be done to the property as well, which I'd just like it to be known that we will take care of the repairs if our offer is approved. And at that point, are there any questions for us?
Any questions? Was your name Chris?
Chris, yes.
Any questions for Chris? Councilman Morrissey?
No, I don't have a question.
Oh, okay.
Later on.
Okay. Councilman Flynn?
We don't vote on this at this time, correct? This
No.
is just, okay. Would
Yes.
would we do a, I guess, vote now to move it along?
I think we should probably forward it to a committee, and then I believe we would need to get sealed bids
okay.
for this, yes.
We discussed this a little bit at the finance committee meeting, and we volunteer to be the committee that it's assigned to if that's amenable to the council.
Yes, sounds fair enough to me.
And now the finance committee meets just before the regular meetings of the council at 6:30 typically, but we probably want to have an earlier meeting than that because it would be an additional thing for us to deal with at the meeting. I don't know if we'd want to do it the next meeting, and why not, the 21st. So let's think 6 o'clock maybe on the 21st, we could have our meeting. That'd be amenable to everyone. All right, we just did our committee business right here in open public meeting, so
Perfect. There's no need for us to attend that meeting.
yeah,
correct?
you can come if you want to. We'll be discussing the matter, and if a representative of the church would like to attend, it's an open public meeting. Anyone can come to attend.
If it's helpful for the committee, I will attend. If it's not, it might be nice out that night.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I would find it helpful.
It sounds like they would like your presence from the chatter up here.
Very good. We will be represented. Thank you.
Thank you very much, we appreciate that. Yeah, I was looking into the ordinances on this for the sale of property of more than 10,000. It looks like we need to get bids, but there haven't been any bids on the property, so I'm not sure how that works. Do we have to formally open up that process?
Tom, do you want to address that?
Typically, yes. You can also, though, if you have an appraisal and you know what the value is, if you have an offer that's above that, you could choose to accept that offer without opening up for bids. But typically, that's the process. It's more to protect you and the city to make sure that nobody says that you're doing something that's not on the open up.
If it would be helpful, we did have the property appraised. It is dated. We had it, it's been 3 or 4 years since we had it appraised professionally, but we can provide a copy of that ahead of time before that meeting, or we can see if the same person might update that appraisal for us, but we did have that previously done.
That'd be great. Please send that along to the city manager and council. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, anything else on letter C? All set? Yes.
Hi there, Jacob Coonrod, live at 41 Charles Street, resident here of Ward 4. I am a member of St. Anthony's and was involved in the planning here. I just wanted to share with the council and the city at large that we haven't finalized plans for how we'd like to develop the property. We have an immediate need and we have used it for overflow space. We're renting it this year, as we've done in the past. We're actually the only residents who've used it since the building and that space was cleared. So there's an immediate need that serves our community as we don't have space to do certain events that we'd like to. However, we're being very conscientious of the fact that moving forward into the future, as we try to meet the needs and the capacities of our church, if we were to develop that space, we would do so with an eye for beauty and aesthetics and long-term appeal. Our church is actually fiscally solvent as well, and we would build something that could be maintained in the future, and at the very least would meet the aesthetics of the nearby businesses, if not exceeding it. And we would do so with an eye towards reverence and worship that someone who is building a for-profit business might not have if they had an eye for profit and efficiency. Beyond that, we do appreciate that our council would really desire to see that go to a taxable business, right, to receive revenue. And so we've tried to provide something that was above market value. We'd like to use that space well, and we'd like to pay well for it. So that's all we have to say on that.
Great, thank you very much. The one thing I'd like to consider here is that we follow the similar model that we did with the college. Even though they're including the property taxes, we still go ahead and see if we could include it in some sort of community foundation fund and get recurring revenue for our residents that way, so that we don't spend it all at once, if that's possible. Okay. Anything else? Very well. Letter D, council work sessions. The department had budget reviews, so council's going to meet twice. The budget was released in the packet this week. We are going to meet on Thursday, April 17th at 6 p.m. and Thursday, April 24th at 6 p.m. So 2 budget meetings. Those will be totally dedicated to just going over the budget. Do we have the breakdown of which departments and funds will be at each meeting, or will be the focus of each meeting?
Yes, we do. Karen, do you happen to have that with you, or?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
Could you repeat the dates and times?
Yes, absolutely. April 17th, Thursday, April 17th at 6 p.m. and Thursday, April 24th at 6 p.m. So we should have all the department heads for the budgets and the funds that come up on those respective days. These are not council sessions. We won't be voting, just so the public knows. We're not voting on the budget, just discussing it here. All right, thank you.
Hi, on the 17th, we have the city manager and all the administrative general fund departments, police and fire budget, airport, planning, economic development, and recreation. That's on the 17th. So that comprises the majority of the general fund. And then on the 24th is Department of Public Services and Engineering, the Board of Public Utilities, and the library.
Could you do that again?
Yes. How about this? On the 24th is Department of Public Services, Engineering, the BPU, and the library. On the 17th is everybody else.
Everything else.
Yeah, yeah, and which is the majority of the general fund, right? So
Okay.
that's important to know.
Very good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
we'll make sure to put the breakdown, when we post the meetings.
Oh, okay.
And then also, we can also send that to council so that you guys are aware of that breakdown as well.
Great, thank you. Okay, so
Yes.
yes, we will be meeting in here. 6 o'clock, Thursday, April 17th at 6 p.m. We'll be meeting here for police, fire, major aspects of the budget. Thursday, April 24th at 6 p.m. Public services, engineering, BPU, and library. Those will be posted. So if you have a specific question about a specific fund, you'll know which day to join us. Yes, Councilman Bentley.
I'd just like to point out that Thursday the 17th is Maundy Thursday, so many won't participate.
Yes, that service is probably 6 or 7 o'clock. Well, should we just do the day before? Is that Holy Week? When is the public hearing to confirm this right after? Let's see, that's April 24th. No, we have the next week. The public hearing on the budget isn't until May 5th, is that correct? May 19th. Okay, so we have time. We should probably reschedule that then. Does anyone know if they will for certain be absent? Okay. Yeah. Should we just hold on this and wait for you to get with the department heads, Mr. Mackey?
Probably the more critical person is Karen. Karen, would May 1st work for you? Or will that work for the schedule?
Okay, so we will push the second meeting back to May 1st at 6 p.m. May 1st at 6 p.m. The first meeting is Thursday, April 17th at 6 p.m. Okay. April 24th at 6 p.m. Okay, 2 meetings. April 24th, 6 p.m. Thursday, May 1st at 6 p.m.
And just to be clear, does she want to keep the 24th agenda the same? Okay.
Okay, good. Same order of funds, bumped back a week. Okay, thank you, Council. Appreciate it. Okay, letter E, under Communications and Petitions, Commissioner Ingalls, do you have an update for us? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. I was out of town last week and I do not have a county update for you. However, I will try and answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for the Commissioner? Okay.
I can update you on plane travel and certain hotel amenities if you'd like, but
Was everything all right?
it was incredible.
Good vacation?
Couple of days work and pleasure, yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Glad to hear it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Okay, we do have letter F now. Communication from the city engineer. Let's see. Do I have a copy of that? Was that emailed?
That was emailed, yes.
Oh, I'm signed out. Do you have a copy in front of you to read, Mr. Mackey?
Yes.
Get in here in a minute, but if you got it there, go ahead.
This is from Kristen Bauer, the city engineer. It is with regret that I submit my resign as city engineer from the city of Hillsdale effective April 18th, 2025. I have enjoyed collaborating with you and the dedicated team of directors and staff to serve the residents of Hillsdale. It has brought me immense joy to be part of the projects and processes that have been built over the last 5 years to improve the failing infrastructure that had been left to deteriorate prior to 2020. Please share my gratitude to council members Morrissey, Flynn, Soha, Stuchel, and Wolfram for their leadership and guidance over these past few years. It has been a pleasure working with and alongside them. The current negative culture being developed by the remaining city council members has forced me to this tough decision. The creation of distrust towards city staff and the complete disregard for city charter and ordinances make it difficult to execute my position effectively and ethically. I prefer not to work with these elected officials who are willing to change voted policies, on a whim to suit whatever complaint comes to them, and I hope that soon the city's residents will recognize their efforts are not for the betterment of the city. Sincerely, Kristen Bauer.
Thank you. Council, any comments? Yes, Councilman Flynn.
I am just sad to see her go. I know she has worked long and hard on not only the current projects, but projects in the past. I know the people up in the Glendale, Highland, and that area last year that had theirs done were extremely happy with her work and her openness and being available at all hours of the day and night and weekends, whether it be email, text, or actually coming up to answer their questions. And it will be sad to see her go.
Thank you, Councilman Flynn. Councilman Wolfram?
I would just like to say that Councilman Flynn made a great statement. I feel the same way, that she did a great job and worked hard and was available, and she did, like I said, she did a fine job. So just want to reiterate what Councilman Flynn said.
Thank you. Councilman Stuchel?
I'd just like to make a statement that this council, members of this council, need to take a self-reflective look on themselves. This is the second excellent manager the city has lost. Just knock it off.
Thank you, Councilman Stuchel. Any other council comments? Okay, Councilman Morrissey?
Yeah, if people in the town treat our employees like crap, they're gonna leave. It's as simple as that.
Thank you, Councilman Morrissey. All set? Okay. Is that it? Letter F? Yes. Okay, introduction and adoption of ordinances / public hearing. First, we have a public hearing, SAD 2025-10 for Monroe Street. This is the confirmation of the special assessment role. Oh, okay, great, thank you, I appreciate that. We have the timer working. Kim, did you wanna come up here and describe this? It looks like everything is, unless I was missing something, everything is the same as when it was approved.
So the purpose of tonight's public hearing is for the individual property owners to contest their individual assessments. The assessments were allocated based on the directions that were given in the resolution that was passed when you approved the project. So yes, everything should be the same as what we saw in that initial spreadsheet that I had prepared when we were talking about changes in the policy that were adopted on February 17th.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Mackey?
The one thing that is different is, and I believe it's in there, that the state of Michigan actually protested their special assessment, and the city attorney reviewed that, so that the $10,000 attributed with that will.
So that's something that council will need to vote on, whether to take that out or not.
Okay.
Because it is based on case law.
Correct.
So, based on our policy, because they own the property, they were assessed, they've protested stating that that under Michigan law, they are not subject to special assessments. There is a court case out there going back to, I think, 1925 at the city of Detroit, where they had purchased property that already had a special assessment on it. And the courts in that case ruled with the state, saying that the state and federal governments are not subject to special assessment.
Which agency is this?
MDOT.
This is an MDOT building?
Yeah,
Okay.
railroad property.
Have there been any additional litigation regarding this?
is considered what they call Hornbook law, which means that it's been accepted. That is the rule in the state of Michigan, and it's been recognized by several cases after that. They just cite that case. And basically what it is it's based on a subdivision of the sovereign can't tax the sovereign. So.
Yeah, that tends to be how sovereignty works. Okay, Councilman Bentley?
So the special assessment is a tax?
No, strangely enough. The reason for the case is there's actually provision in the General Property Tax Act that says you can't tax the state for a tax. But a special assessment is not considered a tax under the General Property Tax Act. So that's what this case is about. And it deals specifically with a special assessment. It says you can't specially assess because it's the functional equivalent of the same thing.
Do you want to take this to the Supreme Court, or how are you feeling about this?
I'm feeling you would lose. You would lose before you, at every level of that. At the Circuit Court, the Court of Appeals, and I don't think you would make it to the Supreme Court.
You're not up to the task, or?
Well, there are certain things that I can do and certain things that I'm not a magician and can't do, so.
Okay, but when we make this motion, I don't want anyone to say it's special treatment when we take them off the tax rolls, okay? All right, yes, Councilman Bentley.
When and what will the vote be? Are we voting on it now?
Yeah, I believe so.
So each adjustment to the assessment roll, you will have to make a motion if you're making changes to the special assessment roll. So you'll have to make a motion to remove that individual assessment from the roll after you held the public hearing. And then the resolution will state the amended special assessment roll if it's approved.
Okay, good. So we'll still get 114,815.76.
Let me look.
Or did you already adjust that number?
I have not adjusted it. Yeah, you're
Okay.
correct. So 114.
Okay. A few things I'd like to also note here. So the interest rate proposal did end up working to some extent.
Yeah.
So the interest rate with this new special assessment policy was brought down from 6 to 5.16. You can pay off the whole special assessment without any interest by August 31st, 2025. So, okay, nearly a full point of savings on interest. So I would say that all of those contentious discussions were worth it, I think. Okay, great. Further comments? Councilman Flynn.
I don't know if this is appropriate now or later, but I'm confused by one part of a special assessment district, and I've had several people ask, and I don't know. How can you tax a special assessment district? I mean, that we say that, no more than $5,000, but then we have to say plus tax, so it ends up being $7,000. How do you tax a special assessment district? Or why, I guess?
The interest is what you're talking about, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Because this is not a tax, what it is we are essentially billing the property owners for this portion of the project cost, and then giving them the option of spreading it out over time and paying it off in up to 15 years. So we're essentially
So it's a
loaning
loan.
that money.
Okay. So it works like any other loan.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Makes sense now.
Thank you, Councilman Flynn. Okay, any other comments from council? If not, I will open up the public hearing. Okay. Motion to open up the public hearing? Or no, I can just open it. Okay. The podium is open, the public hearing has begun. Oh, comments must be limited to the Monroe Street project, of course. Yes. Okay, no comments on the Monroe Street project? All set, I will close the hearing. Okay. Do we have the ID? The parcel ID number, sorry.
Yes, it's 006-227-233-12.
that is not the number that is in our packet. For the 50 Monroe Street?
Can we just do it, let's just do it based on the address then.
Okay.
50 Monroe Street is correct?
Yes.
Okay. Katie will have the parcel number there. She'll be able to find that for the minutes if necessary. Okay, very good. So 50 Monroe Street. Our attorney does not want to take this to the Supreme Court, though it would be fun to watch maybe. Okay. Motion?
I make a motion that we amend the special assessment district for the street of Monroe, or the Monroe Street area, to eliminate 15 Monroe Street from the special assessment district.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion on the floor from Councilman Flynn, seconded by Councilman Bruns to remove 50 Monroe Street from the special assessment district. No one wanted to give the state this win. I understand. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilperson Flynn,
Yes.
Morrissey. Yes. Excuse me, Stuchel. Wolfram. Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley
Yes.
and Bruns.
Yes.
7-0 is approved.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other suggested changes to the special assessment roll? If not, I will entertain a motion to accept the roll as amended. Do I have a second? Oh. Motion on the floor from Councilman Flynn, seconded by Councilman Wolfram to accept the amended special assessment district roll for SAD 2025-10 Monroe Street. Any further discussion? Yes, Councilman Flynn.
Just real quick, do we know when construction is scheduled to start on that? Anybody know?
You know, I don't think it's set in the packet.
Do you know, Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, we will discuss the start date at a future agenda item. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, Katie, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Councilperson Morrissey. Yes. Stuchel. Yes. Wolfram. Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley. Yes. Bruns
No.
and Flynn.
Yes.
That's 6-1, that's approved.
Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's move on to public hearing letter B, reopening the public hearing for SAD 2025-11 Berry Street. We've already had the public hearing, so we're going to discuss this a little bit more. Kim proposed or did a little bit more research about what this policy would do. The short recap of it is that changing the cap from 5,000 to 3,000 would reduce total income would have reduced total income by 450,000 if this had been adopted when we started the SADs in 2021. I guess Kim, do you want to chat about this? My main thought with this was, Mayor Sessions said it would be discrimination, but I thought the major local streets is actually in the law because we don't get as much funding if you live on a cul-de-sac as you do. But then I looked this up and realized Berry Street is a local street,
Yes.
even though the ones right next to it are majors.
Yes.
So to use that mechanism in itself, I don't think would work. But you were doing this based on the assumption that all of them would be reduced to 3,000. Is that because
Yes.
you don't think the major local distinction is acceptable?
That is something that we could work into future policy.
Okay.
But based on our current policy, we haven't distinguished between the two.
Right.
And that would take some more, we would need to work on that a little more, because as you stated, streets like Berry Street they're considered local streets under state guidelines, but they do have through traffic. It's not like a cul-de-sac where it only benefits the people that live on that street.
Right.
So there would need to be some more discussion on that and figure out how do we make that determination and how do we describe the differences to make it make sense.
Yeah, it was because Waldron and South were major on the designation I was looking at. It's like,
Right.
we can't charge the people on Berry more when Waldron and South are in the exact same situation. There's a school, leads to a bunch of businesses.
Yes.
So I don't exactly know how we would do this. When I was calculating it out, excluding the cul-de-sacs, I figured we would be down about 150 to 200,000 because Hillcrest, Riverdale, Elm Court, Williams, Azalea, all of these are cul-de-sacs, so they wouldn't apply, but
But there are, like, River Street runs through there.
yeah.
That's why I say we need some more discussion in order for us to determine where do we make that distinction.
Yeah, this is very, very tough. I appreciate your research on this, though. It's there's some good stuff here. I was curious about this chart. Maybe it was just an error in the way that the chart was made, but it makes it look like under the new proposal we're actually losing money rather than just gaining less on page 171 of the packet. I don't know if you have that in front of you.
I don't.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah,
Mr. Mackey.
I can address that. That is the case. So to explain the chart, the blue line is actually, it ties to the spreadsheet in front of it. That was the $5,000 for everyone. So that was the line. And when we went back and actually did the analysis of or the city engineer did the analysis, the blue line is where we are pretty much breaking even with the amount of streets we're losing each year to what we're fixing. So that is the break-even line of our investment versus declining. The red is actually the new policy as is without any changes, and that just shows on the graph that it actually exceeds the break-even point slightly, and that's what that incline is, where the other three, as tied to the residential properties, just shows at those three different levels that they would actually be less than the break-even point with the blue, and they decrease, which would slow down.
I see. So these are different metrics on the same chart.
Yes.
Okay, that's why I was confused. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. When we discussed this new policy and when we workshopped this, the whole point was, okay, how do we get above that break-even line? I thought we could make these changes staying at or above the break-even line. I don't think it would be as bad as this presentation makes it seem, because there are a lot of considerations that we haven't discussed, of course.
Right.
But
I did want to use actual projects that we did over the last 5 years, so to show, long-term, this is what our typical projects look like, so.
yeah, I get that. Do you think we could, now that we have the budget together, do you think we could sit down and run these numbers with the projects that are proposed for the next budget cycle?
Certainly, we just need to know which projects we're looking at.
Okay. Do we have a general idea of what we're doing for next budget year?
Well, these would be in the next budget year. As far as the projects go for next year, we don't have anything specifically tied down yet.
Oh, okay. So we budgeted the money for these ones that we're approving right now, but we don't have anything else in the works yet?
Correct.
Okay, I see.
What would be left over.
Okay, so as soon as we get those new projects, maybe we could start working through this again. Yes, Councilman Flynn.
Is it possible, conceivable, pick a word, that when a project comes up next year, 2 years, 5 years from now, that instead of just throwing out that 5,000 number, can we say, okay, we're going to do South Street? And I don't want to put any undue stress on any department, but can we go through and use the numbers at that time and say, instead of, we're not going to go over 5,000, property A you're gonna pay 4,200. Property B, according to the tax rolls, you're gonna pay. Is there a way that we can get it really close for the property owners to know what their bill's going to be?
As long as I have a policy that I can use to base those numbers on.
Okay.
If the policy is still up for discussion, then those numbers are subject to change.
Yeah, and it's Councilman Flynn, it's very difficult. We know that, like in this instance, the cap is 5,000. And we were still discussing this as it, up until now, right? So we know what the dollar amount will be based on what we've done up for Berry Street to date. But at the time, in the first public hearing, we did not have that information. So we gave them the cap, the 5,000. Also, it's kind of, we want to make sure that when we present them a number, we want to be as close as we can, but we also want to let them know that this is the high, the
Sure.
cap, and our attempt is to come in lower. So if we can come in lower, like some on Berry Street actually did come in lower with the front footage model, that would be a benefit to them.
Okay.
We just didn't know it at that first
okay.
hearing.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
So for the Monroe Street, this is getting a little bit ahead of us in the agenda, but it's attached to this idea. For the Monroe Street, the bid ended up coming in, what was it, 70, 80,000 below the engineer's estimate?
But because once we applied caps, we're only at like 15% of the total project costs, so it's not gonna affect that. We're not gonna come close to those caps.
So that 5% more when you give a rebate to the citizens, that only applies when you've exceeded the 50% total project cap, not when you've exceeded the amount allotted to each parcel? Or the amount charged to each parcel?
So that is after they've already been billed.
I see. But there's no rebate unless the total project has exceeded the 50% share.
Right.
Okay, so there will be no refund for the Monroe Street folks?
No, we're not ever gonna come close enough to that.
Unless they were paying half of the project to
Right,
begin
right.
with.
The only ones where that comes into play are areas like Hillcrest, where we weren't doing a total reconstruction, it was essentially a milling and surfacing. Their curbs were good for the most part, there was a few minor repairs, but, so they were already below the $5,000.
Thank you, Katie. Move on to letter B, request for qualifications, banking services.
Yes, so we did a request for qualifications, over a certain period of time, 5 years. We like to look and make sure that we still have the most competitive rates and fees from our banking partnership. Tonight I have Jennifer with us from Southern Michigan, who was the prevailing vendor on that RFQ. They were extremely competitive. Jennifer, hi. And waived nearly all of our fees and provided us an incredible interest rate on our idle earnings in a checking account, which is really something for us. So the only other bank that was close was Premier Bank, but unfortunately they don't have any branch in Hillsdale, so every time we have cash, we'd have to drive and deposit it, and it just wasn't deemed feasible for us to do that. It would be a lot of staff time every day to make sure the cash got deposited. So, do you have any questions for Jennifer? They're our bank right now.
Yes, Councilman Stuchel, thank you.
I know Southwest is a great bank, but is there a reason why County Nationals, did they just start a local bank?
They did not bid.
They didn't? No. Okay, thank you.
I didn't see included, did you include the different bids somewhere in the packet? I don't see them here.
I did not, because they're not bids, it's an RFP, so you'd need the entire proposal to look at all the different fees and all the different interest rates. We have those on file and we can certainly get those to the council.
That'd be great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any comment? Yes, Councilman Flynn.
On, just kind of following up with Councilman Stuchel, on behalf of the folks at Southern Michigan Bank, they have been in business over 150 years. They were founded in Coldwater. I don't see them going anywhere. I don't see them merging with somebody out of New York or California or LA. I see them just as local as any other local bank that's been here since day one, and I think we would be best served by Southern Michigan.
Thank you, Councilman Flynn. Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you. Okay, do I have a motion for banking services? Very good. Motion on the floor from Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Flynn to approve the RFQ for banking services for Southern Michigan Bank for the city and BPU. Excuse me. Any further discussion? Katie, can I have a roll call vote?
Yes. Councilperson Wolfram? Yes. Mayor Pro Tem Palladino?
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley?
Yes.
Bruns?
Yes.
Flynn?
Yes.
Morrissey? And Stuchel. 7-0, approved.
Thank you, Katie. Let's move on to letter C. RFQ for municipal investment advisor.
It's a banner night for finance tonight. So
Thank you.
We did an RFQ for investment advisory services. It had not been done since 2018. And so we had 3 responses there. Mike Cloak is here tonight with Meter Investments. Meter Investments was the proposer that looked the best from the RFQ standpoint. They are also doing our investments currently, Mike Cloak. So they have 34 years of experience in government and 54 billion. So they're very familiar with what we can invest in as governments and how that works, which is very important to us. Cetera investors had no governmental clients, so unfortunately they did not meet that qualification. And Robinson Capital Management had a competitive bid, but Meters was better, so.
Thank you very much. Councilman Flynn.
What are we investing? I mean, are we investing money, say, out of the general fund, or do we have specific monies that we invest that we use that interest for?
So any excess funding in our fund balance policy that's above and beyond what we need for operations or for our emergency cushion, we invest. All the funds are pulled together for that, and each fund has a share of that. So we keep track of all that. The software does that. And so Meter helps us invest in treasury notes and other things that we wouldn't have access to just call up on the phone to do, right? So so that's what Meter's portfolio is, and council gets that every quarter, what that portfolio looks like.
How often is that investment money then available to us if we needed it for something? I mean, when we invest, is it socked away for 6 months, a year?
That's a great question. So Mike and his team, they ladder everything out. So we have staggering due dates for things. So let's say if we happen to invest in a 3-year note, we're not gonna have everything due a 3-year note, right? We're gonna have it all staggered. And Mike analyzes those investments and says, this is great for this time period. This is a great rate now. Obviously things are a little more volatile right now. So Mike can speak to it more if you'd like him to.
Do you have a number just off the top of your head on how much the city invests?
I have not looked at that off the top of my head since the last report I sent, so I can get that for you.
I'm just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, when I was looking at the budget, we had something like $48 million in fund balances. I think the majority of these are electric and water and sewer fund balances, right? Do you know what percentage is targeted for investment?
So for fund balance, particularly for electric, water, and sewer, their actual physical assets are included in that number.
Oh,
so
really?
It's not just cash. So general fund, if you see fund balance, you can equate that to some spendable money, right? That because of the basis of accounting for those funds, it's modified accrual. Electric, water, and sewer are full accrual, so they have their assets in there, they have their principal on their debt, I mean, everything's in there. It's run like a business, so it's more like a net, it's a net of everything that we're valuing that business on for water, sewer, and electric. So the cash does not necessarily equate to the fund balance.
Okay, that's helpful for looking. So those business type activities, those use what is it, the total?
Full accrual accounting.
Full accrual, is that the total net position
It
where it
is.
includes capital assets and everything?
Yes.
But the city funds don't, that's cash on hand or investments?
The governmental funds, it can be cash, and a lot of times it is, sometimes it's also accounts receivable, right? So it's cash, accounts receivable, basically anyone that owes us money less whoever we owe money to, right?
Okay.
So our cash could look great, let's say it's 8 million on June 30, but if we show that we owe $2 million in accounts payable, then our cash is really only 6 million, right?
Right.
So you kind of have to look at all of that holistically.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful, looking through those fund balances for some of the BPU accounts.
Yeah, it's a little bit dicey there, I know.
There was still quite, I think, several million in investments though, right? So they're
Yeah.
they're doing well,
Yeah.
even excluding assets. Yeah, no, Councilman Wolfram?
Yeah, can you just give me what percentage of our investments are in stocks and what are in bonds?
So we're not allowed to invest in stocks as a city government, yeah. So it's all very relatively safe in the world that we live in,
Yeah, okay.
right? So Public Act 20 is what guides that for any local government. Do you want to speak?
Very good. Any further comments or questions? Thank you. Appreciate it. Do I have a motion on the RFQ for the municipal investment advisor? The provider.
Oh, I'm sorry. I make a motion that we continue with meter investment services for the investment advisory services for the city of Hillsdale.
Thank you, Councilman Flynn. Motion on the floor from Councilman Flynn to approve the RFQ for meter investment services, seconded by Councilman Morrissey. Any further discussion? Katie, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley.
Yes.
Bruns.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Morrissey.
Yes.
Stuchel. And Wolfram. 7-0 is approved.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you. Okay, we will move on to letter D, 2025-2026 proposed budget and setting of public hearing. So this is what we were talking about earlier. We are going to have 2 meetings to go through this in depth. For now, we are just setting a public hearing for May 19th, 2025 at 7 p.m. So that's the regularly scheduled second meeting in May, May 19th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Any comments or questions before we set the public hearing, or anything that you would like to add?
Just a reminder to the council and for our citizens out there that are interested, the budget document that's attached is the detailed line item budget for each fund. So you'll be able to have all that kind of detail. What we're going to talk about on the 24th and the 1st, we're going to talk about finances in general, the overall health. We're going to see where fund balance is. And we're going to have each of the departments talk about what's in their budget. But this document gives us that.
Councilman Morrissey, seconded by Councilman Flynn, to accept the bid from Reith Riley Construction for $649,934 with $50,066 for contingency for a total cost of $700,000. Katie, could I have a roll call vote?
Yes, Councilperson Bruns.
Yes.
Flynn.
Yes.
Morrissey.
Yes.
Stuchel. Wolfram. Mayor Pro Tem Palladino.
Yes.
And Councilperson Bentley.
Yes.
All right, 7-0 approved.
Thank you, Katie. Let's move on to letter, what do we have here? F? E? Okay. Concrete asphalt crushing. Oh, this is still Mr. Blake. Thank you. Okay.
Awesome, thank you, sir. Over the last several years, the Department of Public Service has accumulated about 5,500 tons of concrete through various projects, about 3,000 tons of asphalt through various projects. We did go out for bid on this project. We received 5 bids. MRSA out of Lansing was a low bid of $50,500. We did budget $56,000 for this project. A little something different we plan on doing for this particular than we've done in years past. For a couple thousand we threw in here also to get this tested at a 21AA specification for MDOT so it can be used in our road projects in town instead of have to outsource a lot of the material for the projects.
Will that come off of a future project cost? Will they pay you for it?
They'll come off, because all we do everything out of unit price. So when we put the RFP out, we'll say we already have X amount of tonnage in our, so their unit price will be lower.
I see, thank you. Do they have a proposed price per ton?
So I don't know that as of right now. Yes, yeah, absolutely there is.
Okay, great. Comments or questions for Mr. Blake?
Make a motion that we approve Mirsva Incorporated of Lansing in the amount of $50,500 to do the crushing of asphalt and concrete out at the Department of Public Works.
Second. Motion on the floor from Councilman Flynn, seconded by Councilman Morrissey. Katie, could I have a roll call vote?
Yes, Councilperson Flynn,
Yes.
Morrissey, Stuccio, Wolfram, Mayor Pro Tem Palladino,
Yes.
Councilperson Bentley, and Bruns.
Yes.
All right, that's 7-0, it's approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. Appreciate it. Okay. We will move on to miscellaneous reports. Proclamation, Autism Awareness Month. I will read this. Apologies for my voice. Whereas autism is a developmental disability characterized by atypical development in socialization, communication, and behavior, and whereas the symptoms of autism typically are present before age 3 years and are often accompanied by abnormalities in cognitive functioning, learning, attention, and sensory processing, and whereas autism is a lifelong condition that presents unique challenges and opportunities requiring understanding, acceptance, and support from communities and society, and whereas autism affects 1 in every 36 children in the United States, and whereas early diagnosis, intervention, and access to equitable education, healthcare, and employment opportunities can make a meaningful difference in the lives of individuals with autism, and whereas individuals with autism contribute to the diversity, richness, and strength of our communities, demonstrating creativity, resilience, and potential, and whereas Autism Acceptance Month emphasizes the need for public awareness to promote acceptance, celebrate the achievements of individuals with autism, prioritize the inclusion of autistic individuals and families, and honor self-advocates and all who work every day to create more opportunities in our communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Joshua Palladino, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Hillsdale, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Autism Awareness Month. No other proclamations. We have one appointment. We have a heroic Board of Review alternate, Richard Smith. I think he served on ZBA for the city. Maybe something else. Real good guy. He's retired, so he won't miss the Board of Review meetings. Any comments or questions about Mr. Smith's appointment to the Board of Review?
Nothing against Mr. Smith. I just go back to my very first meeting in November, and we seem to have gotten away from having these people that want to be on these committees come up and just say hi, introduce themselves to those who don't know Mr. Smith. So I, again, would ask that if you're going to, we want us to appoint somebody to a board or a commission, we know who we're talking to.
Yes. Richard comes around quite a bit. He comes here to talk about the Mitchell, but yes, he was not, or he, no, of course. Okay, great. Anything else? Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Flynn, seconded by Councilman Bruns to appoint Richard Smith as an alternate to the Board of Review. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Richard. We will move on to general public comment. You have 3 minutes. You may speak on whatever you desire.
My name is Dennis Niner. I live at 66 Northwest Street. I'm a board member with the Exchange Club. And we are requesting that the permit fees for placing the crosses on Broad Street be waived. If not waived, then at least put back to the $20 it was previously. As this is honoring the fallen soldiers of this county.
Sir, we're not allowed to respond. This is just general comment. And then when we get to council comment, we can talk about it. But this is just your opportunity.
I'm happy to respond. Sorry,
This is my first meeting ever.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if you were thinking.
No.
We did talk about this at Public Services. We have a provision that certain fees can be waived for veterans events, and we've discussed how that should be interpreted, and we will discuss it again. Thank you very much.
Okay.
What was your name?
Dennis Snyder.
Dennis. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Dennis.
Hello, Jeff Fazekas. I'm also commenting on the exchange project. Again, just from what you mentioned, you're going to push it off again, potentially. This has been brought up to numerous of you folks a number of times. I know you actually received letters from some of your constituents as well. And again, it continues to get pushed off. Today, there was something in the thing about the parks, a donation of $20,000. We've actually donated around $60,000 in the last few years for the parks. We are a county organization. We're not a city organization, but we put a lot of money in the city. That money doesn't have to be in the city. And we can move the stuff, and we'll make sure that people know that the city doesn't want the Exchange Club working in the city if that's the case. So again, it's very sad from some of the commentary I've heard that us rich folks that are putting money into the city in an organization should just pay the $75 and shut up. It's not right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further? Yes. Hi, Dennis. How you doing?
Dennis Wayne Scott. What I have to say is my opinions don't have anything to do with me being on any of the boards and stuff. But you know, when I started with you guys, I've been with you I think almost 10 years on some of the boards or something here. And you know, when I did things, I did it because I cared about my community. I cared about what goes on here, how the things are done, and above all, the things I care about the most is my relationship with the Lord. And when I do things, I do it because I do it as to please Him, not people. But what part of my job is, and stuff, is to be a help to the people. And I believe that when you took office and swore in that you did it because you cared about our community, you cared about our people, you cared about what went on in our community and how things would look and do, and you know, and we have a beautiful town. But I mean, it needs work here and there, of course, you know, that's why you're doing what you're doing. But the thing is, when we turn around and we forget why we got in here, it has nothing to do with the money, okay? A lot of you have been on this board and you've been here all these years and stuff, and you know, I never heard anybody talk about how much they made, how much they didn't make, and I know I better hurry up or my 3 minutes will be up. But when you turn around and want to start paying yourselves wages, what good is that? Where is your heart at? Is it in your back pocket or is it in where it's supposed to be? you know, what you do to others, so shall it be done unto you. And if we turn around and we take more and more from the people, how can the people give back to the community? And you think about raising your wages and stuff. A man is worthy of his hire, no matter. That's true. But we didn't get into this because of hiring. We got into this because we cared. And that's one thing when you think about raising your wages to, I'm sorry, Pro Mayor, that, you know, think about raising your wages to $25,000 a year, or each of you councilmen raising yours to $10,000 a year. You know, what good is that? That's over $105,000. It could be maybe that person that you're getting ready on Monroe Street that needed help, or on one of the other streets that needed help. Maybe that's money you could have put towards them. Or maybe it's another project to maybe help beautify the city. I noticed ours.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it.
Okay, 1 second. Well, the curbs need to be repaired, so there you go. Thank you.
Good to see you, Dennis.
My name is Cindy Merritt. I live at 25 Sumac Drive. So Mayor Pro Tem has tried to close the airport, driving the excellent Ginger Moore away, has stopped city road construction, and now Kristen Bauer, who's excellent, has resigned, is throttling back Dial-A-Ride, which serves the elderly, the handicapped, and the poor. Then the Mayor Pro Tem packed the majority of the Compensation Committee with his cronies so that they would propose a massive increase in compensation for the mayor and city council. This latest stunt has only galvanized opposition to the Mayor Pro Tem from my fellow citizens to a degree that I have not seen in the 11 years that I have lived here. I want to make two things crystal clear to the entire city council before me. First of all, we are not poor, stupid townies that you hold in haughty contempt, treating us like sheep to be fleeced in order to line your pockets. Second, if you vote yes for this abomination that's going to be up for a vote 2 weeks from tonight, I will either join or start a recall campaign to throw you out.
Hello, let's start your timer. CJ Toncray. I wasn't sure I was going to speak tonight, but I was expecting that you would have some comments. So I am one of the people on the board, for those that don't know, and was one of the people that voted to, we don't even know what it is because we haven't brought it in front of the board. A lot of people are getting information that they don't know. So I'm going to read this so I don't jump around. I feel it's necessary to talk about, I don't feel it's necessary to talk about the compensation meeting at this time because we do have a scheduled meeting next month. What I would like to talk about is how we as a community, citizens and our elected board encourage productive communication, participation, and how to come together to improve our city. I have been going to the meetings for over a couple years now, trying to familiarize myself with this way the city government works. It is not easy to put all the pieces into place. There is a little opportunity to put input from the whole board at once, except here. The citizens have 3 minutes in a meeting to speak our minds while trying to understand the process with all the board present. And of course, we can't ask questions at that time. This is one of the reasons that I enjoyed the discussions and the debates that have been happening over the last couple months, because it gives me more insight of each of you individually, as well as all of what you are all that you have to consider when making decisions that go into your votes. I was excited to be asked to serve on the board, and as a business owner and a resident, I was looking forward to giving more involvement in the improvement and growth of this community. This is the paperwork received in the meeting. which was very minimal as far as protocol or setup, which was fine because I felt like we were discussing. Maybe some rules or requirements of expectations laid out would have helped the committee and the chair to know what we could have done, if anything, to share what we thought, what our thoughts could be to help the community and fix some of the issues in a more provoking light as opposed to what happened. I was told that it was hard sometimes to get people to volunteer for committees. I can't imagine why. I would surmise from my recent experience that after only one meeting that it could be because of how some people could be treated by the public and on social media. In our meeting, I was expecting that all committee members would bring suggestions, changes, or improvements and their reasons behind their decision, and have a discussion. Not knowing the procedure, I assumed that once voted, we would bring our ideas to the board, to the council board, with dialogue, and dialogue would begin. Citizens would have the opportunity to share their thoughts once they heard the whole proposal.
Thank you, CJ.
My name is Jean Heisey. I live at 157 Budlong. Just to say simply, I was quite appalled and actually shocked to see the proposed raise for the city council and for the position of mayor. That just, it doesn't make sense financially, and I can't imagine that it makes much sense to the voters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Russell Richardson, elected chair of the Officers Compensation Committee. I want to address a couple things that were said in the past public comment and also discuss our rationale for the decision that we made. First, I want to agree with my co-board member CJ Tancre that there was an attempt by a minority of the board to shut down the discussion, which included screaming, slamming the table, and saying all sorts of petty things online, fomenting a public outrage, which was based on misinformation, and I expect that my fellow council members will be better behaved in the future.
It's on video, you idiot!
Salaries haven't changed in 10 years. I don't know about you guys, but you are paying different prices for eggs and homes and gas than you were 10 years ago. These salaries are expected to cover the time of you guys that are putting in part-time hours. The Officers Compensation Committee wants to recognize you for the time you're putting in and ask you to do more. You are the only elected statesmen that represent us in the city of Hillsdale, and we want you to be involved in the budget process. We want you to be asking questions. We want you to be deliberating. We want you to be meeting with your constituents, and we want to pay you for that work.
Do they really think anybody's
it seems
buying
like public opinion is against this. Sure. As chair, I can call up to 15 meetings this year. I'm going to call another one so we can continue that dialogue. This has not been set in stone. Nothing has been sent to you guys for debate. I want to address the concept that we're trying to fleece the pockets of city council. If you're trying to make real money, I expect you to go find another job that pays you better than even $10,000 or $25,000 a year. Why do we want to do this?
It was
Another
voted
reason.
on. He can't bring it
Right
back
now,
to the
it's
table.
only open to people who can afford to take the time off of work. We want to make public service accessible to everyone. And that means it needs to be something that is paid. Our citizens expect more from their elected officials. What they're getting right now is increased taxes every year to fund things that they don't want. Something's not working. If we increase the pay and increase the expectation, the goal is that you guys will start asking hard questions and begin deliberating. That is your job. I want to address the online social media critics. Stirring up emotional rampage full of untruth and hysterics is not good for anyone. The citizens of Hillsdale deserve much better. They deserve a politics of substance, not of spectacle. I have higher expectations for our board in the future, and I will hold them to that.
What are you gonna do?
We will not be yelling, we will not be slamming arguments, we will not be calling people, so-called men, corrupt and idiots for simply disagreeing. You may debate, you may deliberate,
Thank you.
and you may discuss, and that's what we will be doing at a future meeting. Thank you.
No, it
Thank you.
won't.
Okay. I will, oh, yes, thank you.
Hello, my name's Chad Hammond. First time actually in this room. I live on 77 Ripon. I just want to bring to, I guess you guys' attention that I've been living in the city for like 25 years now, off and on. And I think what the city needs to do is really stop focusing on what the college wants for the city and what the Hillsdale Hospital wants. Instead, we need to look at what is going to benefit our children and grandkids down the road. Because as it stands right now, like there's no reason for my kids that are eventually going to graduate from high school to stay here. There's nothing here. Yes, it's great that we have a Myers. It's great that we have all these now, but are those jobs going to pay our bills unless you're in management? No. What are you guys going to do about it? I know our infrastructure is probably part of the reason why we don't have, big tech companies or anything wanting to come in here. On top of that, it's our taxes. Our taxes are through the roof. I was looking at the presentation before I came in here, and the tax slide of how the taxes have increased over the last 4 or 5 years. Every year it's getting higher and higher and higher, but none of us or no residents in the city are seeing any benefit for these higher taxes. It's very concerning. Then on top of that, to hear like the Exchange Club, complaining now that their fees went up. They had to move the light up parade. That's something that like my family looks forward to the fairgrounds last minute because the fees went through the roof. Why? Like what happened to tradition? I mean, it's our big slogan, it's the people. What are we doing? Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Very good, thank you. I'll close the podium. We will move on to the city manager's report. Mr. Mackey.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm going to keep this brief. I just wanted to make a statement in regard to the engineer's resignation. Kristen's resignation is a significant loss to the city of Hillsdale. Her expertise and leadership were instrumental in completing our road reconstruction and infrastructure work over the past 5 years. Her departure will leave a gap that will be difficult to fill. We've tried. As the last gentleman said, trying to get young folks to come back to small rural communities is very challenging. We looked for 2 years to find an assistant for Kristen, and we offered very competitive wages and couldn't find people from our own county that wanted to come back and stay. They all wanted to leave. As I said, it will be difficult to fill. This will have a real and immediate consequence for our city. Without an in-house engineer, our road projects will slow down. The workload on remaining staff and project costs will increase. There's no doubt about it. Contracting out both the design and construction management components of future projects will add hundreds of thousands of dollars to our efforts annually. That's where I say we will slow down. Working with consulting engineering firms, everything's a percent typically. And they're much higher than what we were paying her annually, and that's in the time, the extra thing she did for us. As the council knows, this is the second staff resignation in recent weeks, and there seems to be a common theme. I believe it points to a deeper issue that deserves reflection. When city staff are treated with distrust, targeted criticism, and hostility, it creates a culture that is damaging, demoralizing, and ultimately unsustainable. We have a very good staff here, department heads and staff below them, that could go anywhere and get jobs and do their professional work. They choose to be here in Hillsdale. When it becomes unbearable for them, they leave and they go elsewhere. If this pattern continues, I'm worried we'll see more resignations. That means losing institutional knowledge, disrupting daily operations, and compromising our ability to meet the very goals this council has set. Without expertise and professionalism and those who understand these projects, we will be paying more and we will be dead in the water. We will be at a crawl. The future of this city and the services we provide to the people of Hillsdale depends on retaining and supporting professional and capable of staff. That requires trust. It requires respect, and it requires leadership that recognizes distinct and vital roles between both council and the staff working together to serve the best interests of the communities. The staff, the council, the mayor pro tem, all of us, and the residents. The residents are critical to this because this is their community, pulling on the same end of the rope. And when we foment distrust and criticism and hostility and share false information or other things like that, it just creates hostility amongst the team that are supposed to be here to serve the residents. And with that, have the best interests of the city in mind. I mean, we've literally have many folks that could either retire or could find a job elsewhere. And it's my job to try to motivate them to stay here, even, to present things that, to the council, to the residents, and achieve the goals that you set in front of us. When the staff is demoralized, they start looking for other jobs. And that's my concern is Karen, the finance director, she works in many communities across the state and has since her retirement from the finance director position in Ann Arbor. And she will tell you that we have one of the top management structures of any community this size in the state. And now we're losing them because of the issues that we've talked about. That being said, as I mentioned, I think this is an issue of deeper reflection, and we need to talk about either through ONG or as council as a whole, how we move forward to both stop the bleeding and work together towards the benefit of the community. That's all, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mackey. We will move on to council comment. Does council have anything? Councilman Bentley.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and thank you, Dave, for those words. I would just humbly request that we as council, for my fellow councilmen, that perhaps we consider not discussing the officers' compensation board tonight or going forward, maybe give them some time. It's turned into quite a contentious issue, and I guess I understand they're not done and it's not on our agenda.
We are done.
So for discretion and to lower the temperature, perhaps we agreed to let it go, at least for tonight. I believe the reason it's in the charter is because it is such a sensitive issue and so inherently unpopular that the charter founders attempted to take it out of the political realm, out of our hands, and have a board consider it and hear the feedback from the
He
people.
knows nothing.
So again, I suggest we keep our opinions to ourselves tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Bentley. If I may, the charter actually gives a specific dollar amount to be paid to the council members and the mayor. $10 per meeting plus $100 a year for the mayor, if I recall correctly. The Officers' Compensation Commission is maybe a 1970s, 1977 law, something like that, that took it out of the charter process. I appreciate that, but when I'm having people accusing me of corruption up here, if I may have 1 minute, the law requires this, that we call it every odd numbered year. I received 5 applications. I nominated the first 5 people. I called for them repeatedly, meeting over meeting. The idea that I stacked this board for the purposes of corruption, and that people who have been friends with me are accusing me of this, I find it quite disgraceful, especially because when I called the meeting, and I think you all were here and heard me say this, I said, let's go back to the charter. Not because we don't deserve the money. Reading a 235-page packet 4 days before is actually quite a bit of work, but because we have maxed out taxes and we're charging special assessments. That's what I said when we called the meeting, and now I have people who have been my friends in the past accusing us of corruption up here. It is disgraceful. Turn off social media if these bugs are getting into your mind. Any other council comment? Councilman Flynn, thank you.
I would like to, I know you don't want us to, but I'm going to. First of all, I think that the charter needs to be revised, and I know you have a list. The Congress of the United States of America votes on their pay raise. However, if they vote yes, it does not take effect until the next Congress. So in order for them to get their raise, they have to win re-election. Our charter says 30 days after it's presented to the city clerk. So if we were to vote on April 21st that we want to do this, then we present it to Katie, then on May 21st, we get a raise. We should not be allowed to vote our own raise. Period, end of story. If it's November 26th and the next council takes care of that, fine. We should not be allowed to do that. That's immoral, it's unethical, pick a word, it's just wrong. And I know that the lawyer wants to say something, but this is my personal opinion. We should not be allowed to do that, because you want to talk about looking corrupt. 30 days from now, oh, I'm going from $1,000 to $10,000. That's bonkers. That's just not right. Secondly, we don't have the money in the budget. We just don't. I mean, I've sat here since November, and with everybody saying there's this magic $5 million sitting in a corner somewhere, and why aren't we using it for streets? Well, if there's $105,000 sitting in the budget we're not doing anything with, by God, put it towards the streets. Don't give it to us. That's what you've all been bitching about since I got on council back in November. Now all of a sudden, you want to give us $105,000 a year. That's $500,000 plus, don't forget. We also get paid extra for committee meetings. So overall, it's going to be $500,000 in 4 years. How many special assessments is $500,000? It's a lot of streets that can be fixed. We don't need that. At least I don't need that. And I appreciate Mr. Richardson and Mrs. Tancre and Mr. Green. I don't think you were treated fairly. I will say that publicly. There needs to be a lot more decorum in every meeting that's held with the city, not just that one. But I read an email sent to me over the weekend from Mr. Green and then words from Mr. Richardson this evening, which said, you guys are doing, and I'm paraphrasing, you guys are doing an awful job as council. That's what the email said from Mr. Green. You guys are doing a terrible job. Council is doing an awful job because, as Mr. Richardson said, increased taxes, special assessments, this, that, and anything. So in order to punish you, we're going to pay you more. Does that make sense? To me, it does not. Because my thinking is, well, hell, if I'm doing such a bad job and you want to bump me from 1,000 to 10,000, I'm going to do an even worse job next year. And you're going to come back and go, you're really screwing up, Flynn. I'm going to make it $30,000. By God, by the time you're done, in 4 years, you're gonna be making $75,000 because you're doing such a crappy job. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you pay somebody more? I mean, the one woman that came up and said she's gonna start recall petitions, that's what you do. If you're doing a crappy job, fire us. Don't give us more money. Who's gonna be inspired to work harder? And thirdly, we're not in it for the money. I was born here, I was raised here, I will die here. I am the only one other than Mr. Bentley that was born in this town, and Mr. Stuchel, I apologize. We have been here our entire lives. As Mr. Mackey said, we could have went somewhere else. We could have done anything that anybody else does. We chose to stay here for various reasons. We're on this council because we care about the city. Everybody's on this council because they care about the city, or they wouldn't be here. That you don't get paid for. If you put in 5 hours a week as a councilman outside of this chamber, fine. If you put in 100 hours a week outside this chamber, great. You're doing what you're supposed to. Ask questions of the city manager. Ask questions of every single department. Find out what's going on. Be difficult when it comes to difficult decisions that you don't agree with. But we're not in it. We should not be in it for the money. We should be in it because we care about this town. Hillsdale is the best town in the tri-state area. I don't care what you think. The one gentleman said there's nothing to do in Hillsdale. They've been saying that for 1,000,000 years, but yet our population continues to increase every census. This is a wonderful town. We forget that sometimes because everybody wants us to be like Jackson. Everybody wants us to be like Ann Arbor. Everybody wants us to be, no, we're Hillsdale. And by God, we need to treat our town like that. We need to have pride in what we do. We need to have ownership in what we do. And paying us to do it an insane amount, more than any other town in the entire state of Michigan, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. If you're in this up here, sitting in one of these chairs right now for the money, you should be recalled. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. We're not in it for the money. We should be in it for the love of our community and for doing what's best for the city of Hillsdale. And it should not be our back pocket. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll add that the 30-day requirement is not by charter, by law, by the Officers' Compensation Act. And that's how, basically from my research, every city in the state, there are a few exceptions, but almost everyone uses that process. But I agree, the 27th Amendment process is superior. Councilman Wolfram?
If
oh, yes, please. Sorry.
Interject one thing, just so that everyone understands. You actually don't set or approve the amount. The Compensation Commission does, and you don't approve it, right? It becomes the salary if within 30 days you don't reject it. If you reject it, then the existing salaries stay, right? But you don't vote thumbs up or thumbs down on it. You can only vote thumbs down on it.
But that takes a 2/3 majority, correct?
It takes 2/3.
So we can vote 5-3 against it and it still passes.
It still passes. Yeah.
Which is wrong as well, but that's again.
Yeah, but that's the idea, is to take it out of the hands of the body of the officers themselves and put it in the hands of a separate commission that's supposed to look at it. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Could introduce an ordinance at ONG to simply repeal it, and then we can go back to the charter and we can get $10 a meeting. That would only take 5 votes. Councilman Wolfram?
A couple things. One is, I agree that the 27th Amendment, which actually was one of the first 12 amendments when it was introduced, but it didn't get ratified until decades later. And I do think that even though we don't, we could vote not to accept it, but we can't, but still I think that somehow maybe we ought to amend or talk to our state representative and state senator about how we might amend the statute itself to make it so that, just like we have it with the Congress, that you have, that we would vote, maybe, I don't know how you would do it, but just top of my head, just reacting to your comment. And second of all, I didn't even know we got paid until I got it. I look at this envelope when I first get up here and go, what the hell is this? So you don't have to raise my salary.
Thanks, Councilman Wolfram. Councilman Stuchel?
I'm not sure where I'm gonna go with this for sure, but I agree with Bob. This is an outstanding city. I mean, you're gonna match it. And what makes it so good is the fact that we are a city management run system where we have a city manager with an outstanding staff, top professional people that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I've been in the workforce for over 50 years. And well over 30 of that I've been managing people, hire people, have to discipline people, but people are the greatest asset that any organization can have. They are absolutely fundamental. That's what separates you from your competition. I am just sick of the fact that we lost 2 excellent managers and both of their reasons were the same. And again, I'm gonna ask who's ever browbeating these people to really take a second look. And I wanna end this with Mayor Pro Tem, under your leadership, I'm going to ask you to consider resigning your pro tem position. Thank you.
Councilman Stuchel? Any further council comment? I guess I'll say that, yeah, Councilman Bentley?
Mayor Pro Tem was following the law. It's every other year. He called it. I believe we unanimously voted for it. So we all have some ownership of this.
I feel compelled to say something after this. You know, the nastiness seems to be coming from one side. All these people who are just sort of, they're not actually confronting anything. They're just saying vaguely negative atmosphere. Okay, the airport. I'm trying to shut down the airport. The proposal to fix the hangars failed. Who proposed the new idea of how to fix the hangars in-house? Didn't I come to you about that?
I guess I'm not prepared to answer that on the spot. I'd have to go back and look at it, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, I came to the city manager about this new proposal. The idea that I'm trying to shut down the airport, I'm trying to find new revenue streams. This is very common sense stuff. And then you get on social media and you're trying to shut it down. The idea that we're being negative to Ginger or Kristen.
You are, you idiot.
I don't know. I've never seen that. I think we're all being perfectly courteous and respectful. I understand that policy discussions can get contentious, but I have no problem with any of these people. As far as I can tell, they're doing a great job. We're having policy discussions, and everyone wants to take this up to negativity. I don't see it. I don't think it's true. I don't know. If a city staff member who I'm close with thinks that I'm being negative, please tell me. But no one has ever come to me personally with these concerns. If I'm being personally disrespectful to you, please let me know. Yes, Manager Mackey.
Mayor Pro Tem, since you asked, I'm going to say this. You mentioned this a few minutes earlier that you received 5 applications for the Officers' Compensation Commission. Now, you have put me in a position here because I know that's not true. You received 6, and the last one you received was from Ted Jansen. And Ted Jansen gave that to you many days in advance of selecting the last person for that compensation commission. So I know this information, the city clerk knows this information because we take the applications. And then you put us in a position of either staying quiet or just ignoring the fact that that wasn't true of what you said to the rest of the board.
Fair enough, yeah.
And the residents.
Fair enough.
And those situations, as well as you asked, the being attacked from your associates affiliated with the college. you know, I've been through it with my evaluation where you round up the folks and you bring them in here and you send out the emails. The next thing you know, there's someone being attacked. The city staff sees this. They see their managers being attacked. They see their cohorts being attacked. And if, quite simply, all the negativity that was brought upon Ginger, she just said, it was starting to affect her health and said, I don't need this anymore. You know, once you start the ball rolling, whether it's from this table or others, and it goes out into social media land, people get nasty, as was mentioned at this table. And it's hard for good public servants to just basically close their eyes and plug their ears. They see it, they get attacked. And the fact of the matter, if they don't have to put up with it, and most of our folks here don't, they start looking for other positions and other places to go that doesn't have the dysfunction that we have, you know, within this operation. And when I say this operation, it's the city as a whole.
But again, what is the dysfunction? Policy discussions. We're having policy discussions, and you describe this as dysfunction because we want to question you, and we want to see, you know, what answers we can get. I don't think this is dysfunction.
No.
The only hostility I hear is when I'm in my office on the 3rd floor during the day, and I hear the city staff yammering about me and council and about how ignorant we are and about how we don't know what we're doing. Okay, we are having policy discussions up here. There are no personalities involved. You're telling us that we're bringing citizens in to come and attack
Quit
you.
lying, Josh.
I have no part of this. If you
Quit
think this
lying.
is me, then you need to check check your assumptions here.
I have checked my assumptions, Mayor. For example, let's go to the water fluoridation point. You do a press release on this before you even speak with the director of the Water and Sewer Department, Jeff
Is that not
Geyer.
my prerogative to set policy?
It's this board's prerogative to set policy.
Any
You
of
should
them can go to the press and talk about what they would like to see done.
But they don't, because they know that they're working as a team. And then you make an announcement and it comes out in press release, and the department head that's supposed to be associated with it knows nothing about it. And then they get asked questions and they're left blindsided.
But
There needs
there's
to be
nothing
more
to do except
communication.
begin the discussion. All of these things just begin a discussion. You're acting as if beginning a discussion of saying something to the public
It's not
is
a discussion
undermining
with
the
you guys,
council or
though.
the city staff. It doesn't do that.
Well,
Okay, we will have this discussion in private.
We had to address your statement in regards to fluoride to the media, which thought, and the residents who thought the water in the city of Hillsdale was terrible, despite the fact that we pass all state and federal guidelines for it. But we were answering questions for you in regards to that. And I'll leave it at that. We can have further discussions later.
Thank you. Any further council comment?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Motion on the floor from Councilman Flynn, seconded by Councilman Stuchel. All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned.
Oh crap, that was crazy.